Hey there, welcome to MON DIEU. I'm Olivia McCoy. Today we're going to be making hand-pulled noodles. Alright, what we're going to start with is, I like to use the scale. You can also do cups. I'm going to do everything in grams, and then the recipe below will tell you in cups if you'd like to do that. Alright, 250 grams of flour. Quarter teaspoon of salt. And 125 milliliters of water, which looks like about a half a cup. This is lukewarm, tepid water. Go into the bowl. So at this point, what we're going to do, I like to mix with my finger. You can mix with a chopstick if you want, or a wooden spoon, but I just like to do it with my hands. Okay. So that 125 milliliters of water, it seems like the dough is a little bit dry. There's still a lot of flour. That means that we're going to have to do more water, which is totally fine. So in cases where I'm making dough or making bread, you kind of have to adjust the water for where you are. So the recipe could be one that's written in a different state, different country. That has some things to do with it. Also, the flour you're using, it has different qualities of gluten, different percentages, so that kind of changes how much water you use. But you just want to eyeball it. I like to take out the mass, so this is kind of hydrated already. You can see it's sticking together quite well. I have what's left is just flour. You can see that it's not stuck together at all. So I like to add a little bit to hydrate that bit. This is a way to make sure that you don't add too much water. Okay, so we have this bit now that's a little extra wet than this, but that's good because we're going to add it together and make it into one mass. I probably only added a teaspoon of water to make it come to this point. I'm using regular AP flour for this. The hand-pulled noodles would be a little bit more glutinous if you use bread flour. It's definitely possible, but the noodle will be much more supple if you just use all-purpose flour. Okay, so now we have our dough. It is hydrated, the flour. So what we're going to do is knead. And we're going to continue kneading. Alright, 15 minutes has elapsed, maybe a little bit more, not gonna hurt it. Covered in plastic just so we don't have any areas of the dough that got like a skin forming. We don't want that. It's nice, it's soft. You could see like already the gluten structure has begun to form, which is what makes it stretchy. It's relaxed now, so the more that you work it, the more that the gluten structure tightens. It was relaxed because I hadn't touched it for, like I said, roughly 15 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna do our second knead, and this is going to develop the structure more so that when we hand pull the noodles, they're not breaking, they're stretching, making those nice long hand pulled noodles. So we're gonna do this for about 10 minutes. What we're really looking for is the dough to be like supple and to be soft. So usually when I'm making like pasta or noodles, I want it to feel like really fine Italian leather. So right now it's a little bit rough still. Alright, So just finishing up kneading the dough. If you want to know how I'm kneading it, if you haven't done a lot of kneading before, I start by taking the dough. It has a smooth side. You want to maintain this very smooth side, and then you have like the side that's your kneading side. So smooth side down. You want to take the palm of your hand, the heel of your hand here, and you want to roll the dough down onto itself, pushing forward, flattens it. When you're pushing, it's rolling up on itself in the back, which is good, and then you rotate it 90 degrees, so then you have like this fatter side, and then that's going to be the side that your hand falls down on, and rotate, and rotate, and rotate. And you just are doing that. I just did it for about 5 minutes. And I'm just pushing all the weight I can down into it as I stretch it forward and then rotate it. And you can use one hand. I mean, I kind of like using 2 hands, but whatever feels comfortable to you. As long as you're stretching the dough, maintaining the smooth side, rotating it. Alright, so now we can see that this is very smooth, very soft. Like I said, like Italian leather. That's what you want it to feel like. It smells good, like flour and water mixed together. My favorite smell. Alright, so what we're going to do now is cut our baby in half. I just have a bench scraper, but you can use a knife, you can use a pizza wheel, whatever makes you happy. Take some oil. I'm using grapeseed oil. You can use just a mild oil, nothing like too strong of olive oil or anything like that. But lay it down on your sheet tray. You just want to make sure that our dough does not stick, and we want to ensure that our end product is like these slippery noodles. So we could put flour down and they would be a little bit chewier because of the extra gluten that's on the outside with the flour. The oil is going to kind of give it like that slippery. We want to put Asian noodles. So we take one of our doughs and we're just going to let it relax. Make sure it's covered with the oil. Take our other half and just do the same thing. So as you can see, because I was kneading it, the structure is not as loose as it was before. It's tightened up. So we're going to rest it for an hour and a half, and that's going to relax the structure again, and it's going to make it possible for us to just making sure it's like fully covered with the oil, and kind of making sure they're in a similar shape, just like a nice disc. Flat, even throughout. So we built that gluten structure up with all our kneading and that rested process at the beginning. Now we're gonna let it relax. Take a little nap. I'm just gonna use the same plastic I had on my original ball so I don't waste anything. And then these are going to stay here. Take a little nap for an hour and a half. And when we come back, the gluten structure will have relaxed enough so that we can do a couple different techniques of hand pulling, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Alright guys, so it's been about 2 hours since we've been letting this dough rest. I was kind of messing around with it and pulling some noodles. But I'll show you. Our dough has not really changed in its appearance. It hasn't risen, it hasn't puffed up at all. We didn't put any yeast in this, so we shouldn't expect that. All we did when the resting time was let that gluten structure relax so that we're able to pull this into our noodles. At this point, you can do two different styles of noodles. So we could either do a thicker noodle, that's going to be a cut that's about 2.5 to 2 inches, or we could do a thinner udon style noodle, which is going to be more like an inch cut. I'm using this bench scraper to cut. You can use a pizza wheel or a knife. Alright, so I have my inch strip. I'm going to set this other one aside. If you make mistakes, you can kind of do what I did here, which is just knead it back together, let it rest again for about 20 minutes, and then you can make more noodles. Anytime you mess up, don't throw it away. Make it work. Alright, so I have my inch strip. I'm going to hold it from both ends and lightly stretch. Once we get to a certain point, I'm going to come back, it's about an arm's length. Come back to the middle. You're going to hold the top ends with your one hand and grab the middle section with your other hand. And then you're going to bounce those out. And then once it kind of feels like, you're having some maybe resistance, that's probably about as far as you're going to be able to stretch the noodles. But you can go through and kind of check your thickness for any particularly thick parts, and you can just pull those a little bit thinner. You don't really get much give from the noodle. You really want it to stay in one long strand. That's just traditional what you get when you have hand-pulled noodles, but also it's like really nice to eat in a bowl of Asian noodle soup when you have one long noodle. You slurp it up. So there we go. I just like to take off the end if it's a little scrawny. But here we have it. One long noodle. And then we're just going to drop this into boiling water along with our other noodles that we make. And then we'll have some noodle soup with hand-pulled noodles. I'm going to do, we don't have to have soup, but I'm going to do dan noodles with mine. I'll link a couple different recipes that you can use these hand-pulled noodles for. Alrighty, here we are at our oven. We are going to finish up the noodle process. This is the dan sauce that I made. It has tahini, soy, a little bit of sugar, chili oil that I made, which just a quick little chili flake oil, and yeah, makes this really nice glossy sauce. So it's a little bit spicy, a little bit sweet. That's going to go with our noodles. We have our pot of boiling water. I'm also making some steam buns. See how those turn out. Pot of water is for our noodles. Have our noodles here. Just going to get those into the pot. They're a little stuck together. I left them for a while when I was making the steam buns. You just want to keep giving them a little stir and they'll kind of release themselves. Once they start floating and they start to turn a tiny bit opaque, that is when they are done. And then to our dan sauce, they're going to turn it on, get it started, and then we're going to add a little bit of this cooking water. It's nice and starchy from the flour. So once these are done, we'll just pull them out, put them into our dan sauce. Ooh, our steam buns are looking nice. Yay! Sorry, I had the fan on. Hopefully you heard everything. If not, I'll go through the subtitles. But our noodles are cooking. Just giving them light stirs. They were a little bit stuck together, like I said, because I left them for a while. Really, you should, after you pull them, immediately put them in the boiling water so that that's not an issue. We're starting to get some floating action. Can you see that? Right. Very close. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. We're getting floating action. They're beginning to turn slightly translucent, the thinner ones, which is what we want. I'm just going to wait for the thicker ones to kind of get there. They really did loosen up and they're not stuck together anymore, so if you're worried about that, don't be too worried. Our noodles look ready. Give one a check. Fork. Just like you would with pasta, you know. Ooh, we got a long one here. Completely cooked. I'm gonna pull them and put them inside of our sauce. Just be careful because they're very long noodles. So some tongs might be helpful at this point, but I don't give a fuck. Oh, so nice. So delicious. Make sure you guys can see it. I think we're good to go. Alright, time to start plating. You'll see a picture at the end of our post. Alright, oh mon dieu, oh my god.